talk about this real quick, right? So you have an uproar, like usually, this country never goes without commotion, and it never goes without scandal, it never goes without hypocrisy. Like right now, right? You have people who are not even enrolled in a tribe complaining about the Lumbee being recognized. Like, we understand that none of these tribes are supposed to be recognized to begin with, but we also understand that it's a human right to have things that you normally wouldn't have. It's a human right. And, you know, if someone gives a fact about information, right? You say, well, we know when the explorers came to America, they had one name for the Negroes here who were formerly called Indians, right? And who were formerly called Moors. And they had another name for Africans because they knew that there was a distinction between them. And you tend to not want to recognize it, right? You don't want to acknowledge it. You could do that, but it doesn't make you right. Like, I'm just sitting here and I'm listening to this woman, and she's not even black. She's defending the fact that blacks were here first. And she's trying to tell, I guess a guy on TikTok, his name is Baby Ghost. He goes around trolling black Americans, calling them all type of names, right? And it's another guy named Josiah, Joyaya, or something like that. It's like people are going to find out, the real history eventually. They're going to find it out. And when they find it out, they're going to be surprised. They already are surprised as it is because it's a lot of evidence. And I know that they see this evidence. Now, again, this is just my DNA, right? And I'm more lean towards Africanism on the land of America, because there's no agreeable term that we can all call ourselves that's in America that doesn't involve hijack, right? And I'm just talking about dark-skinned Americans who look African, right? The first people who were here, whose politics have been overlooked. Politics have been overlooked. This is my DNA, right? Now, when you look at it, the first thing that you see is that all the tribes that are from America share geography with my DNA. The only one that you don't see it with is the Baka and Zulu. All the other tribes, you see it with it. You see with it. So my thing is, when we're trying to figure out, who people are and where they come from and, how did they get here and things like that, right? You have to pay attention to admixture. Because the people who are here who's complaining about black Americans, right, who got all these names for us, right, all these emojis for us, right, you can't track who they are and where they come from. All you know is that they have admixture and you don't know where it's from. It's a little bit of Negro here, a little bit of Negro there, and it's something else. We don't know where it's from. So it's like information, it never dies away. Information, it never dies away. This information is going to be around long enough for people to find out the truth. Why is it that I could go on all these DNA websites, right, and find an inkling of who I am, but I can't find an inkling of who these other people are, who's complaining about black people? They're arguing over letters that have Phoenician origins, saying who people are and who people aren't. But they're not the Phoenicians. They're not the Hebrew that's talked about in the Bible. They're not the Moabite. They're not the Canaanite. These people. But when we sit here and we look at, okay, what does everybody's DNA say? What does everybody's DNA say? And you start to doing some paperwork on everybody, right? And you start to see, oh, this person came over here doing this time. This person came here doing this time. And they don't have solid evidence to be backing up the things that they're saying. They just don't. It's like how you have guys, right? You got a guy who's supposed to be black, right? He's supposed to be down for the cause. Come to find out, he has a Melanesian background, right? He's basically Papua New Guinea, right? In some other form. Papua New Guinea, and Ethiopian. And he's saying all these things about Brandon Johnson being a tether and how he's an immigrant, how he's not a soul brother and all this, right? And it's like, are you saying it's because he's dark skinned and you have a caramel complexion? It's like we got to get over this colorism thing, because I'm seeing that, a lot of people, they have numbers on the black community now. They have numbers. They understand what's going on. They understand clearly what's going on now. They know all of this confusion, this infighting, it's about colorism. Because everybody knows, right? When it comes down to who people are, where people are from, what inheritance people have, a lot of people are going to be left holding the spoils, holding the ruin, holding the small, here, you can have this. This not much. They're going to be left holding something that they don't want. You see what I'm saying? Like literally, I go on my True Ancestry account and I'm just looking at all this evidence that's saying, well, I am American Indian. I don't even say I'm American Indian. I've never said I'm American Indian. I've never used compound words to describe who I am. And all this evidence is saying I'm American Indian. I'm fine with that, right? I'm fine with that. But that's not the idea I want to give people, right? I want people to be proud of being African. I want people to be proud of having ancestry from other places. Just be proud of it. I'm not someone who's going to say I'm Lumbee even though I have that DNA, right? I'm not someone that's going to say I'm Cherokee or anything like that. Before I say I'm Baka or Jawa, I would never say anything like that. I would never say I'm Cherokee. I would never say I'm Lumbee. These people, not only do they not have treaties, right? The Lumbee, they don't have a treaty. The Cherokee don't have a recognizable treaty. They don't. You look at these people who are running these tribes today, right? They will look completely different than the last regiment who fought off the Patriots who were coming in from New England, stealing their land. They would look vastly different, right? Wouldn't you say? Wouldn't you say they would look different? I mean, think about it. Where are all the men who left descendancies from their original stock? They didn't do it. They didn't do it. Because if they did, it wouldn't be this much confusion. There's so much confusion in these communities about who is who and who has what and who is going to inherit what. There's so much confusion. I'm telling you now. You have Africans who don't want black people to get their inheritance, and you also have mulattoes who don't want black people to get their inheritance. Because if we get our inheritance, what's going to end up happening is that they're going to be forced to fight over the spoils. Imagine the black person saying, because I'm one who agrees that black people shouldn't get their reparations, because like, what is reparations? What exactly is reparations? What is reparations? Reparations is fully removing anyone from land that doesn't belong to them. There's Africans who can go back pre-dynasties before and claim land here in America. Think they can't? We don't know what scrolls they have. Because right now they're dictating the pace of who's investing in what. They're dictating the pace. Right now, Africans have to choose between, well, if black people get their inheritance, that's what you should really call it, inheritance. You shouldn't call it reparations, right? Black people need their inheritance. We've been taught that we have to buy insurance in order to leave something behind. That's completely false. That's completely false. From the time you sign up for your social security number, or from the time you don't, right? The city is supposed to have you in their emergency policy. Someone in your family dies who was taking care of you, you're supposed to get an emergency policy from the city that you're from, because the county keeps records of everybody. The county is really the tribe. The county is really the tribe. So if you all think like, that's not factual, just look at the processes of all the old land patents. What processes did they have to go through in order to get legalized? They have to go through the county. So I look at it, one way, and I also look at it another way. Stop getting into arguments with these people who look 4/4 European. Like, stop getting in arguments with them. Because like, what it's going to show is that you don't really know who you are. Every live stream that they do, they're bringing up us. They're bringing up us. They're talking about how we're running our politics and, how we speak Ebonics and, all this stuff, like how we use a different dialect than everybody. That somehow makes us backwards. They look at us like we're less than human. Stop getting in arguments with them. As someone is going to antagonize you by the way you talk, that means they want to be you. So don't allow that to be. Don't allow that to escape your senses. We're all in this matrix, right? And we're going to see who's going to be the fittest when it comes to surviving. We're going to see who's going to be the fittest. It's more than just taking shots, It's more than taking Ozempic shots. It's more than taking steroid shots. It's more than that. Do you have a base? Can someone just not knock you off your square? Do you know the environment? Are you able to train the soil? Are you able to talk to the trees? That's really what it's about. It's not about any of this other stuff. All this other stuff is just a hijack. That's all it is. Now, I'm going to get backlash from uploading this video, right? Because this is my most controversial video ever that I've talked about, right? But I had to say this. I had to say this. Black people, they don't want you to get your inheritance. This is why they interrupt your bloodlines every single year, every single decade. They interrupt your bloodlines. It's just a fact. It goes without acknowledgement. Now, how are you going to tell me my DNA is lying? Are you going to tell me to my face my DNA is lying? It's saying that I'm American Indian. I'm not American Indian, which means I don't deserve 40 acres and a mule. Let's face it. That's why we all want to know our history, right? Because we want land. We want to be left alone. We want to raise our families. We want to enjoy life on our own terms. That's the only reason why we want to know if we are the true American, right? That's why we want to know that, right? None of these people who are saying these things about black people, none of them can trace any of their ancestors who look completely like them, right? None of them can trace their ancestors who have fought in wars. None of them. None of the pre-revolutionary wars, none of the revolutionary wars, none of the civil wars, none of them can predate and find their ancestors. I'm not going to talk about this like the way that they want me to talk about it, right? I'm going to leave some things out. I'm going to talk them on my own terms. I'm going to talk the way I want. Um, because again, we're trying to influence. We're trying to lead the stick. We're trying to lead the horse to the water so he can drink. That's what we want. So for people, you know, all the people saying, you know, they want tribal recognition and, they want to be acknowledged. And what more acknowledgement do you need? You've been given a driver's license. You've been given a driving permit. You've been given a passport with your origin of birth on there. What more do you need? You've been given a state ID, which means you're the people of that state. And it's used for just that purpose, right? It's a real ID. It's used just for that purpose. Great peace, Yakoki.